Hey, welcome back to the Treehouse Athenaeum podcast. We're so excited you could join us. Sit back or maybe grab a glass of wine while we talk about some topics you've probably already thought about. From deciphering dreams to following your wildest intuitive hits, we've definitely got something for you. Let's get started.
Good freaking morning to you, Davicus. You want me to call you that this whole time?
That's all good. That's what I use online. What do you think?
Davicus. I don't know. It feels like there's like a power dynamic here. Like I should be.
Oh, I got you. I could just do Dave.
Well, I don't know. Do you want me to drape you with like grapevines and?
That's how I see my life, but.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Don't you have this grand vision? Maybe it's the gay in me. I don't know.
Tell me more about this grand vision.
It's a Dionysian lifestyle I live.
A Dionysian lifestyle.
Don't you? Like, just I'm here to enjoy life and the abundance and everything. Savor it.
Absolutely, but I don't know that the abundance that I am imagining takes place on the Aegean Sea like yours does.
We'll do. Yeah, we'll get you some Celtic name.
Where did you go? You went away. I'm just gonna vamp. I'm Lisa. I work here. Dave's got to come back in at some point, you know. There he is. Not just Dave. Come on. Just Dave. It's too easy.
I knew you'd get the reference.
So I believe that the reason that we were called here today was to talk about some of the wildest shit that we have done as a result of an intuitive hit. So I marinated on this week. Did you marinate on this week?
Yeah, I have a lot of when you say acted on an intuitive hit, what do you mean? Let's expound on that.
Like a little seed of an idea that popped into your head and you were like, not only am I going to water this, I'm going to water it with Miracle Grow, and then I'm going to harvest it and see what happens.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the first thing that jumped into my head is this trip that I reference like all the time. And it set a lot of the rest of my life in motion, even though I had no idea that's what was going to happen at the time. So in college, I had this group of friends. 4 of them had this idea that they had been planning for a long time where they wanted to go to Disneyland.
Okay.
Over a weekend. And the reason that it was 4 of them is because there was one former cast member. She was like she was the college program like ambassador or whatever. And for those of you that don't work at Disney, when you work at Disney, you get to have main park admission for yourself and up to 3 other guests on any given day. So they told us with like 24 hours to go that they were going to go to Disneyland, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to come with us?" And Lauren and I were like, "Yeah,
so, let's do this." Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, okay." We're like 19, and someone's offering us the opportunity to go to Disneyland, of course. So Lauren and I, we jumped into 2 different cars, and we left after classes on Friday afternoon. And we arrived in and I was living in Colorado at the time. I was living in Greeley, Colorado. And we arrived at Anaheim at 6:30 in the morning. We got ready at an IHOP in the bathroom. I'm just out there like doing like a full face.
College is such a different time.
I know, different energy. And we did park open to park close, and then we just like went and slept on some like shitty motel bedroom. The next day, everyone else went into the park. Lauren and I went into like downtown Disney, got like a little makeover at Sephora. And then we drove back on Sunday and got back at 6:30 in the morning for classes on Monday. And only 2 of us actually made it to class. But it was exhausting and it was so fun. And like,
what a great memory though.
Yeah. And this all happened in college too. So like the reason that I said that it changed my life, because really it was just like a fun weekend. My mom was pissed that I didn't tell her I was planning on doing this. I don't know why she was upset that, her freshly adulted daughter was going off somewhere that she didn't, have contact with her. But anyway, um, after that trip, I was like, "Oh, I can just do spontaneous things. I can do spontaneous things linked to Disney." And then I worked at Disney for 8 years, just in Florida. So
That's how
that
they
was
got you. That was
fantastic.
the hook. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. It's not like anybody was there saying like, "Hey, Lisa, come work here." But I went on the Jungle Cruise, which
Mhm.
is for the uninitiated, this ride that's 10 minutes of someone dressed in a very
Awful
classy.
jokes. Just
Yeah,
awful jokes. Yeah.
dad jokes. Yeah,
I love
dad
it.
jokes specifically about
Campy.
things that
Would you say it's campy?
oh,
Yeah,
for
campy. Yeah.
sure.
So that's how
Yeah.
I tell people. It's like a campy experience, which I love, you know.
I mean, there's a literal gorilla camp in there.
Oh, and you were like, "These are my people." Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, these dad jokes. I was like, I cannot wait to be a professional dad joke teller.
Ah,
And then I became one.
yep.
So that is how that's how I found out that manifestation works, baby, because
Mm.
man, I started like just fucking around with that idea and thinking, wouldn't it be hilarious if I became one of these professional dad joke tellers about these like plastic animals that work 50% of the time? And then I
Oh, and
did.
then you did. Oh.
Mm,
I'm trying to think of manifestation stories. I so my intuitive hunches have come in this form of a lot of signs and symbols. The one I was thinking on was a lot more dramatic, and I'll save for another day. Now that I'm thinking of it,
no,
no, it's pretty okay.
come as you are, baby.
Okay, there's two experiences. One, we were buying a house, me and my ex partner, and something happened, it fell through, but we sold our house. So it was just one of those, we took a really great deal, but it kind of put us in a tight spot. And then the house that we were going for fell through. And so we were pretty much like the deal just fell through. So we had nothing. So we had to find a place within like 2 weeks to, to like put all of our stuff, you know what I mean? With probably an apartment, right? So, long story short, we're crashing on a friend's couch for a few days, and then we are apartment shopping like random. And I'm just praying, obviously stressed. It's so stressful, moving so stressful. But we found this one apartment, and we walk in to the garage, and it's like a townhome, but there were pennies all over the garage floor, but they were almost making like a triangular shape, and they were all heads up. So I don't know if someone was doing some voodoo to sell the place or to get some buyers, but um, for me, why it was special and why I noticed right away is because I always get pennies from spirit, like especially my grandfather at very momentous times. And so, like one time I flew out to give a speech on my paper and while I was in my master's program, and there's a penny on the podium, which isn't uncommon, right?
Mhm.
But my flight got delayed on the way back, and I was in the airport, and I thought I was going to be stuck overnight, and I was just so sad because I was exhausted from having done this huge, emotional, amazing thing, rite of passage, and I had a coffee and a donut, and I looked down, and I see a penny right by my foot. Didn't even notice it at the table. And as I picked it up, I literally, as I touched it, I heard on the like airport intercom, "Mr. Loisel, come to blah blah blah. You know, we can get you on your flight." So stuff like that all the time happens. So that's my frame of reference. That's just my
Yeah.
lexicon. In this apartment, these pennies are all over, and I looked at my ex. I was like, "This is it. This is where we're supposed to be." And all of a sudden, everything just started falling like in line, one after another. Within a day, we had the place we were moving in until we, started our house search again. But it was one of the most intense times, but it also turned out to be the best place for us, in that moment. And which helped us find our house eventually that we should have been in. We weren't supposed to be in that original house. When the deal fell
Mhm.
through, it wouldn't have worked out long term. Now that I saw it, the
Yeah.
location but yeah, I just intuitive hunches. You got to once you find them. I think that one's more just like guidance. You know what I mean, rather than an intuitive. Um, well, prompting. I guess that's a hunch, right? A prompting.
Well, you still have to use your intuition to know how to trust it, you
Trust it.
know?
Yeah. That's the big part too, especially if you're an overthinker. Oh,
I know.
I'm
And
so
honestly, like what I got out of that story, Dave, is that you and your grandfather were the reason for the national coin shortage in 2020.
You're welcome.
Oh,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
When-
So, I mean, what was striking to me about the way that you told that story was the end piece where it was like you had to let go of what you thought you were being led towards, right? In exchange for
Mhm.
something that was better. And that's something that I talk about with my clients a lot is like, okay, so what you're looking for is this outcome, but like, how does it change when you add or better to the end of it, you
Interesting.
know?
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Because we seldom, there's certain times in our life where we do get that bird's eye view,
Hmm.
but we obviously never see the full picture that the other side does, the forces that are guiding us. And we think we know what we want. We think we found it, and we'll struggle so hard to make it happen. And this whole season, through like the last 2 years in this divorce, my archetypal card that has really just tarot card that has just really encompassed the theme, and I'm probably gonna get it tattooed to me somewhere, but is the Hanged Man. And I just love that whole idea of willing surrender. Such a different dynamic than like giving up, being pushed to the point where you're like, oh, okay, fine, now I'll release it, like when you're at your wit's end. But if you
Hmm.
if you can like easily just let go of the control, realize, have that awareness of in the moment, like, oh my god, this is so much. Wait, it's not mine to have anyway. Like, I know that I'm being guided and protected, and it's going to work out. What's the mantra? Everything's working out for the best, my best, you know
Hmm.
the highest good of all. And if you can say that and carry that with you in your day-to-day life, I think there's a freedom that comes in that is just, I always love the expression of the hangman, because you think he's upside down, it's uncomfortable, but he's just got this serene expression on his face. And that's the key for me. Whenever I see it, it's that almost enjoyment of, the universe has got me. It's okay. It's uncomfortable, but it's okay, you know? Mm.
Can you tell me more about the Hanged Man? Because A, it does not pop up for me very like often, if at all, when I do tarot pulls. So maybe that's just not the season of life that I'm in. And B, when I do see it, I kind of freak out.
Well, no, that's exactly the energy of the card. So the Hangman. I love this card. Again, it's been kind of my archetypal, or this seasonal arc for me in my story. And there's a few things that you want to point out when you look at this card, like you want to reference. So first, you have the positioning of the person. The actual position is not like a hanged man of like someone going to the gallows. It's actually in reference to an old Nordic myth where Odin chose. What is it? Earskadel, the tree of life, and everything's on there. All the 9 realms hang on this tree of life. It's all connected, right? So
Oh.
he wanted the magic of the universe. He wanted to be the top dog. But the only way to get the the magic or the information he was craving, that he knew
Mhm.
he needed, was to be suspended off this tree. Like, he had to be in limbo in essence for like 8 days, 7 days. I don't know. So there's a different myth. And I'm just paraphrasing here, but so the point is, he actively chooses to willingly surrender in this uncomfortable, like hanging upside down. Anyone who's been upside down for a few seconds knows, like, the blood rushes to your head. It's really intense. You'll survive it, but it can actually be painful after a while. You know what I mean? And you're upside down. You have no control. You're very vulnerable. You're probably more vulnerable than ever. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
balance and stuff, right? So he does this for 8 days, 8 long days and nights. But through
Dang.
this process, you'll notice the halo on the hangman card. There's an act of illumination. And you can see this commonality in all these myths, like the Buddha under the Bodhi tree, or Christ, doing the 40, the fast, to get his connection and enlightenment. And
Mhm.
anyway, so the Hanged Man isn't about suffering, but just the opposite. It's about calmly, that's the goal, calmly giving away your control, your power, acquiescing your control to something higher in order to attain the knowledge, something greater. You know what I mean? And for us, like we were talking with the apartment or in that story, like I knew I had to let go of control and it would all just work out. And sure enough, something better manifested. I thought I needed something else, but by releasing control and easing into this allowance, making space for the universe to work, something better for my highest good came along. The best possible, outcome for the situation that I was in. The posture is really interesting. Notice it's not rigid or intense. It's very relaxed. You don't see any, intense musculature or like there's not a struggle or tension. It's
Mm,
relaxed. Um,
interesting.
yeah, and I think there's something sacred about the actual like the leg behind. I don't know if it's got something to do with numerology or not, but
It looks
uh,
like swagger.
yeah, yeah, seriously.
Where's
Uh,
time for swagger
I
when your
always
face is purple from all the blood rushing to your head?
right? So I love that. And I loved it so much. I actually did my own version. So, but I think that it's just such a powerful lesson. When you see this card come up, it's asking you to surrender for a purpose. It's not just a surrender to let go, to like defeat, which our ego always finds, and always correlates like, oh, if I give up, then I'm giving up on my dream. I'm giving up on my marriage, even though it's toxic. It's the failure
Mhm.
piece. With the Hanged Man, there isn't a failure because again, that halo, that illumination that comes with it is the promise. That's the promise of this card. If you see it, if you release, there will be reward. And that can come in any multiple, realms of our lives. But yeah, the Hangman's a wonderful card, but it's a hard card. It's difficult. Uh,
Yeah.
because if you're a control person, like most of us, you like to plan, you like to know what's going on, you want to know. That's just not how it's meant to work the majority of the time. Usually it's a step by step. We can plan for something, but then something happens. Life brings us a curveball. What's that quote? Man plans and God laughs. Very
Mhm.
much the essence of this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, just let go, let it happen, get in flow, like, just chill. Like, these are all things that are so much easier to say to somebody else than they are to, like, actually practice yourself.
And that, yeah, you're hitting it on the head. There's sacrifice involved in this. You have to willingly choose to hang, to suspend yourself. That it takes a while to get to that calm again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to hang for a minute. But have you ever had those experiences where you're in it and you're just like, shit, this is it. That like it is what it is. So might as well lean into it. You know?
Legit, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, I mean, because you talked me through this, but, like, recently I had to move, and since I don't know what it is. I didn't set myself well, obviously I set myself up for this life, but, like, as a kid, I lived in the same house, like, my almost my entire life. I
Do you
think
know
I
how
lived in
rare
some
that is? Like it's so
exactly.
rare. Like most people, I think I read something move at least 5 times in their life now, at least. But I think it's even
Right.
higher with apartments.
Oh my god, yeah.
Mm.
So, like, I live in the same house for 18 years of my life. Actually, fewer than that because my parents lived in a condo for like 2 seconds when I was born, but that's neither here nor there. The point is I was there for a long time, okay?
Hmm.
And then, since I moved out on my own, like, right after high school, like, in college, I have moved so many times, Dave, so many times,
I hear
and
you.
I'm not
Like,
even gonna sit and try to, like, count all of them, but I moved to California in 2022. It is now 2024, and this is the 3rd place that I've lived in.
yeah,
And,
I think that's the modern crux, right? Like, it's different because you got to be so competitive with it or living costs. Oh,
yeah, it is, and there's a lot of, like, trusting that you're gonna be able to hang with inflation and all these other things, but, um like I very recently had to learn what it was like to experience that surrender, and I'm still in it, to be totally honest. And it was because you and I had this conversation about like I got this hit like probably a year ago when I was looking for a place with my old roommate. And I had found this apartment complex that I'm in right now, and I was like, I love it. I really want to live there. And she ended up vetoing it because she had to have two vehicles, one for work
Oh
and
yeah.
one for her personal self, and they couldn't accommodate that. And so like I was talking to her when we had decided that we were each going to live on our own, and she was like, why don't you check that place out? And I was like, I don't know, man, this is pushing my limits. And Dave, you were the one who like talked me off the ledge, and you were like, if you are feeling this in your gut, it is for a reason. Like everything else is going to slot into place.
Oh,
And it's starting to do that. But like I gotta tell you, I don't have the swagger of this man that is just chilling on his Nordic tree.
okay. Would
But
you
like the
say you
point
have more
is,
swagger now than you did?
when I was talking to you and I like
Yeah.
felt like there were snot bubbles about to explode from my nose.
You're so dramatic. I love it.
I'm a Leo.
Leo. Rawr. Rawr.
Listen, it's my season.
Thank God it's
Mercury
almost
just
over. No.
spun into my sign.
I love
Wait,
Virgo.
did you just
So
say thank God it's almost over? What's
my
wrong with
sister's a
you?
Leo too, and she has a Cancer moon. So it's been a month. It's been a good month.
Yeah. Well, Virgo's gonna help us like take
Oh,
all of these big, like exciting things and actually,
passion. I
put
love it. Oh,
a structure behind it. And I
mm,
am a Virgo rising. So, I have a place in my heart for Virgo. But anyway,
absolutely.
the point
I love
is
Virgo.
surrender is something that feels like when you talk about it, it sounds like an all or nothing thing, right? And like I guess it kind of is to a certain extent, but it's not like
Sometimes,
you're not going to be perfect at it.
yeah.
Like how did you approach it when you and your ex when you were looking for the house? How
Yeah.
did you surrender?
There is a point that there's again these variations, but sometimes you have a choice. And this is what I always tell people when I'm coaching, and they come to me and they're like, "Ah, I just don't know if I always say, like, life will try and get your attention at first. It's like, hey, go here. And then if you don't listen, it'll be like, hi, like this way. Let's go this way. And if you don't listen, then it shakes you a little. And if you still ignore it, and this is like you want to get like metaphorical, but like the practical reality is like, whether you're like starting to numb it, through substances, you're going to hit a wall at some point,
Mhm.
right? So you can choose, like the hanged man, to do it gracefully, easefully, well, as easy as it can be. But the more you fight it, the more intense you're going to get to the same point in the end, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But if you relax into it and go along with it, it's way easier, but you're still going to end up where you're supposed to be one way or another. So with the house, we had backed ourselves into a corner. We wanted that deal. And it was good for us, but we
Mhm.
really wanted this house. And even though it wasn't like we were trying to force it, it took getting to like the point where you're moving out and life is like, no, this is not where you're supposed to be. The deal falls through.
Mm.
That was like a little tower moment. We're like, like, we are homeless. We're homeless now. And we have all this stuff in a truck. Like, what we got to get it. It's not the end of the world. We'll make it work. But, you don't want to feel like a burden, blah, blah, blah.
Remember when you called me dramatic like 2 minutes ago? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
A
Keep going.
Pepperidge Farm.
Yeah, it's a family guy. Whatever. Let me live.
I love it.
Pepperidge
Live.
Farm remembers. This cookie company is your personal FBI agent. You thought it was the government this entire time? It's
Nope.
not.
Pepperidge
And the
Farm.
Keebler elves are in on it too. Anyway,
I
continue.
mean, who was it? I was at work. Do you remember? I forget who it was, but someone came up to me like, "Girl, don't come for me." And she was being snotty, and she's short. And I went like, "Shouldn't you be in your tree making cookies?" Oh, I enjoyed that, and everyone died. She didn't talk to me for a day, but whatever.
Well, get better soon. Anyway, you were talking about living out
Surrender.
of your moving truck.
Yeah, so it is what it is. We were not supposed to be in this house. This house was not meant for us. but we
Mhm.
were trying to force it. It was a great deal, and we had some work, but I don't know. What's the bird's eye view? Could a water main have broke, that cost us thousands in damage? Could a tornado come later on? You don't know, but I don't want to know. And that's another point of like the hanged man. Like there's an acquiescence that comes along with surrendering. You don't, for us overachievers and us overthinkers, we want to put everything in its place so it looks good.
Mhm.
There's a freedom in just letting it go and not needing to know everything. Like I know there's scientists out there who want to understand all the secrets of the universe. I do not. Like so much. I don't think we're meant to know everything, like yes, we should strive for it, but well, you could also just enjoy your life. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh my
be a part of
god.
it.
Can I get on
So,
my Enneagram soapbox here for a
yes,
second?
go for it.
Okay, so Dave is a 7, all right? 7s are the entertainer, which, I mean, we even
It
knew.
totally off.
Like,
Totally off.
clearly you're already leaning into that. And their core motivation is to be happy. Their core fear is to be trapped in pain. Like
Mm,
7s are very good at like this whole picture, like the big picture thing, and like let me pull out this sparkliest bits of like all these little things and then keep moving on. But like there are 5s in this world, y'all.
yes,
And the
and we need
5s
them.
want to know, the 5s wanna be competent, so they wanna deep dive into every little
Yeah.
thing. So for Dave to be like, "Oh my god,
Chill.
how could you not how could you know everything?" Somewhere out there, there's a 5 who just shriveled on the inside and they're like,
You hit on that. See, would you rather be shriveled or enjoy? Like,
"They
we
shriveled at
need both.
you!"
We need both because
We do. We do
we
need
wouldn't have
both.
all this technology and this amazing stuff without people who enjoy understanding the mysteries.
Exactly, exactly.
Balance, yin and
A
yang.
lot to you and your bigger scope or like your bird's eye view of the
Yes,
world, right? And
yes.
you being like, oh no, I'm not gonna get stuck in quantum physics.
I love it.
I'd
Love
rather
quantum
not.
physics.
But I mean, that's
Good
not
for
you all the
you.
time, though. I've definitely seen you get
I
stuck
have
in a little
depth.
rabbit hole
Yeah.
before, and it's cute.
Oh
It looks
yeah.
good on you.
Mm. No,
Like,
I think it's the balance, right? We
mhm,
got to have both. Life. God, I remember listening to a Sarah Silverman podcast, and she was talking about this existential crisis we're all going through, and like, yes, we're aware, and you become aware of your soul and like how it's all connected to everything. But the truth is also nothing matters. Nothing fucking matters, while everything matters at the
mhm.
same time. No one's going to remember us in 200 years. Like, our family's going to be dead. Like, we might be a picture on a wall somewhere or on some, weird, obscure blog. But the truth of the matter, most of us won't be remembered. But does that make it any less infinitely important? Because it's part of the web. It's part of the cycle. And like anyway, it's just beautiful. Mm.
Well, I'm about to get a little bit
Yeah.
reincarnated
Yeah. Well,
here,
that's what I
right?
mean, right? It
Like,
just recycles, right? So,
well,
it,
exactly, because it takes
mm,
a while to recognize someone, right? Like, there's
mhm.
some people that you meet them and you just have, like, this instant knowing with them, and
Instant.
it's like, "Hmm, okay, so maybe that iteration of you isn't really remembered by your ancestors unless you're like, I don't know,
Mm.
Jesus himself." And a lot of people seem to remember.
Well, it's rare.
Um
Exactly that. Unless you're a ruler, history favors the
Mhm.
winner. Yeah.
Exactly, but, like, there's some people that you just, like, that you've had that introduction to them, so it's sort of like a it's like the soul recognition, I think, is
Mhm.
still valuable, and that's, like, the
Absolutely.
point
Yeah.
of going for all these things. Are you gonna be remembered for your specific achievements? No, but it's like that whole well, I mean, to a certain extent, but it's like that whole Maya Angelou thing. People don't remember, like, what you said, they remember how you made them feel, and that's
Yes.
exactly how
Because it's
soul
energy.
recognition works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm trying to, I guess, needled in on is if you can take off that pressure of like the performance, I got to, that ego piece of
Mhm.
what's my legacy? What am I going to do? And realize like just existing, you are enough by just being,
Mhm.
being is enough. You realize like it takes the pressure off and everything. What was I just telling you this? Like that quote, everything in nature takes the time it takes, but everything in nature gets done. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
it it's going to happen in its time. So why not enjoy it and go along with it? There's a time to, sow and reap and push and, rest. But I love that concept of it doesn't matter because we're all coming back to do this again. You know what I mean? So if you don't get it this time, it's okay, no problem. We got a few more, like if you
I
could,
know.
I know that doesn't work for everyone, but I just it's such a different way to live,
Okay, so then, like, I know that you and I believe in the reincarnation of it all.
The reincarnation.
Uh-huh. Should I pick a
You
different flower?
believe in the
The
reincarnation.
re-rosation of it.
Mm.
The how do I take "re" out of this? I'm not going to. This is
No.
this is a rabbit hole I'm not going down. I'm just gonna So, for the folks that believe, like, you only get this one, what is it? This one wild and crazy life or
Mhm.
whatever, like, how do you change your approach for somebody that feels that in their bones?
Um, I always go back to nature. Nature is our greatest teacher, and I'm not trying to convince anyone. Uh, like we all get to where we need to go through different means, and everything is valid. But what I have learned in my experience is there is more wisdom in nature than all the philosophies and all the thoughts in the world. Like everything is already within us. Our body is a cosmos, a microcosm and a macro, and everything in nature recycles. So that's where I start. Like there's recycling in our lives and seasons, but literally, when something dies in nature, it is recycled and retransmitted on a molecular level. But also, if you start thinking the energetic, the consciousness, and that soul recognition, even ideas and thoughts that are perpetuated over time, good or bad. But everything in nature recycles. Why would we be any different?
Yeah.
There's a pressure that comes along with living like this is my only one life. And I think coming from that Christian background, heaven, hell, purgatory, all that, it adds a layer of shame and guilt to a lot of us in our journeys that is so unnecessary and so detrimental because we're thinking we're I don't want to swear. We can do a fun bleep, like a duck bleep or something, whatever. But
Exactly.
like
Why a duck?
I'll record it. Wah. She liked to swear. She liked to swear. Okay.
I do too.
I
Why
don't
are
I
we
don't trust
censoring
people
that?
that don't swear. I don't.
Same. It's
But
rough. Like, do you not have intense emotions?
yeah, exactly. Awkward, right? Okay, if you're that controlled, there's a reason why. But
Mhm.
yeah, anyway, that's how I think there's a layer of pressure that we put on ourselves if we think, we have to accomplish everything in this life. And I see that
Mhm.
stress manifest in a lot of people. Um, but it's definitely a very Western tradition. It's a very Western idea. Like all of Asia, Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, like all of those have a recycling aspect to it. I think the closer you are to nature, and this is, I don't want to, get canceled, but like that's a sweeping generalization. But if you live in tandem with the natural cycles of the earth, you're just more likely, I think, to see that everything is connected. You know what I mean? To see that it's recycled. Anyway, that's how I approach that. You don't need the shame. You don't need all that extra heavy. Like if you fuck it up, you're done. You know what I mean? That's a lot of intense emotion to carry around.
Hmm. Okay.
What do you think
Well,
when you get it with your clients and stuff?
I'm like torn
Yeah.
because I like the soul recognition thing for me is what ultimately made me think like, mm, yeah, yeah, we recycle our souls.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
not just going into some tire fire somewhere. Um, like,
Just
but
a
they're
dumpster fire, cosmic dumpster fire.
why does it smell so bad out here all the time? Heaven actually smells like tar. I don't love that. A little bit better than fire and brimstone, but
Oh,
also like it's
I
kind of
mean,
hot out here.
yeah.
It's like a New York summer. Anyway, for the people that really do like resonate with the one lifetime and then like there's an afterlife or one lifetime and nothing happens, like I don't really think it's necessarily a harmful thought to
No.
think, you only have one wild and
Make
crazy
it
life.
count. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like make it count. Do the wild shit where you drive
Mhm.
to Disneyland for absolutely no reason, and then all of a sudden your entire life is impacted by it,
Yeah. Right.
And honestly, that's where I was at that point in my life. I was very much like, yeah, YOLO, which was the thing back then,
The
YOLO. Back
thing
when I
back
was in
in my
youth.
day.
Yeah, back when it was okay to take a pause or be a millennial at all. Um, you know, so it's like I still want to encourage that seed within
Mhm.
people, but I find it harder, I guess, to work with folks to help them find that grace for themselves when they mess things up because it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
if you only had one shot, one opportunity, and then all of a sudden mom's spaghetti is like not the best spaghetti you could have ever had in your entire life, and then there's vomit on your sweater already, and it's just like really it's like there's no need for the perfection. In case there were any outstanding doubts about me being a millennial, please look up the lyrics by one Mr. Marshall Mathers. Anyway, um, the point is like we don't know. We'll never know on this plane like how things end up. So follow what makes sense to you and follow what
Yeah.
gets you freaking results.
Yeah. Yeah.
Follow it, I mean, not to sound like freaking clearance section at Home Goods, but follow your bliss, dang it.
Can we talk about word art? Can we talk about
Oh,
word art?
I'm dying to talk about
Uh,
word art. Let's talk
mm,
about word art, Dave.
I have
You're
some, but no, I think it's funny.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like, like Windows
Live, laugh, love.
95, like
Yeah.
like the big bubble letters that you put like on your like science fair like presentations. Like
Uh,
the 3 cardboard things that flow out. Did you ever do science fair?
yeah. Yeah. I made a volcano, and then I think I did something with bugs one year.
So basic.
Yeah, types of bugs.
Volcano.
Well, I think really my dad just wanted to make a volcano.
Oh.
I didn't really have a lot. I did the research, and I was like, "Where's the fun?" Yeah, the volcano was made.
Oh. Oh, do you still have this opinion of volcanoes?
Oh no, I love volcanoes.
Is that something that you thought you were gonna say today when you woke up?
I mean, no,
Can't wait to talk about
that's
my
most
love
of my
for
life,
volcanoes.
though. Oh wow, I did not expect that to come out of my mouth.
Oh boy. All right. Well, this is getting quite tangential and we did come full circle, if
Yeah,
I
we
do say
did.
so myself. So anyway, this has been Dave and Lisa, Wildest Intuitive Hits, and we will see you again for our next one.
I can't wait.
Me neither. Thanks for joining us in the treehouse today. If you enjoyed your time here, can you do us one little favor and send this episode over to someone else who might need to hear it? We love ratings, reviews, and recommendations. We appreciate you so much. Have a gorgeous day.